Hello, everyone. We're going to get started with the program. Feel free to grab food still, bring it over. There's plenty of tables and whatnot. We are live streaming now. Woo! Let me go back over to the right thing. This is the count. So welcome everybody to our April meetup. This is our 6th Remix NYC meetup. Thank you all for coming. As always, we'll start. We are the organizers. Hi, I'm Adrian. I'm a developer advocate at Cockroach Labs. We also have Quentin, and Steven. You'll see them around. We were going around checking people in. And we always like to start with the code of conduct. This is adapted from the Remix Run or the Remix Comp code of conduct. There is the shortened version, and the even shorter version is don't be a jerk and, go that extra mile to actively be nice to everybody. If you see anybody violating this or anything, just come talk to one of the organizers. For those of you who are new to Remix, there is a Discord, so you can feel free to join the Discord, and you can find our channel underneath the meetups as just #NYC. We do have a YouTube channel. We are streaming. I didn't update this slide at all. We're currently streaming. Hello, people on the internet. You can go see previous meetups at this URL and subscribe if you like. We do have a call for speakers. We're always looking for people to speak at the meetup. Otherwise, we make Quentin do it, and we gave him this month off, but who knows what's going to happen. That QR code will take you to our form where you can sign up as a speaker. I think it also is the same QR code as this next one, where we're also always looking for sponsors. So if you have a company that wants to sponsor, we're just looking for people to provide food. Use that QR code. The next meetup, I didn't update this slide. Okay, so wow, I did a great job today. So we aim for the third Wednesday of every month. Let me pull out my calendar here. The next one's going to be in May. Nope, that's not it. May 17th. So we don't have a speaker yet. We don't have an extra sponsor yet. Pretend that says May 17th. And sometime after this meetup, you will see an announcement for the next meetup, and feel free to RSVP. Thanks to our sponsors. So we want to thank Chef Larry and the Cockroach Labs workplace team for providing us with the hamburgers and hot dogs and whatnot. Woo! I think it's one of the nicest days in New York yet this year, and so why not have an indoor cookout, because we don't have a grill out there. And then also we thank Cockroach DB for providing the hosting space every month, and that's where yay! And this is where I get to tell you a little bit about Cockroach DB. So we are the most highly evolved database on the planet. We scale fast, survive anything, and thrive everywhere. And everyone goes, why are you called Cockroach? And it's because we scale fast. We survive anything and we thrive anywhere like a cockroach. So we're very difficult to kill. But we have Cockroach Serverless. So it's our serverless version of a database, Postgres compatible database. So if you're familiar with Postgres, you're going to have a good time. If you're not, still going to have a good time. Elastic scale and consumption-based pricing, and you can start for free, no credit card needed. Pretty generous free tier, and use your current language. So the cool thing is you only pay for what you use, and if you're not using the database, it can actually scale down to 0 and sleep until you use it again, like a serverless function. So if you sign up using this QR code or that link, wow, words are hard today. If you use that link, then it actually credits this meetup for the signups. So that's good for us. Me being an organizer in this capacity. We also have Cockroach University. So if you like learning things on the internet for free, We have a free online course, lots of self-paced courses, a lot of fun ones. One that I really recommend is the Intro to Distributed SQL and CockroachDB. Tells you how CockroachDB works, how it's distributed, and how it does all of the distributed magical things it does. And for some courses, you'll see that if you complete it and you post your certificate, you could get a free t-shirt or some other kind of swag. So again, we've got another sign up link right there. And then lastly, we recently came out with a definitive guide. So this is our O'Reilly book. There is an Australian cockroach on that one. And you can download a free copy as a PDF with that QR code. And I think that takes us into... So up until May 19th or 9th, May 9th, we're showing off Remix Comp. So that's happening. So if you come here and I have this slide in the deck next month, you need to tell me to remove it. But recently they just announced something pretty exciting. Dan Avramov is going to be speaking at Remix Comp this year, and I will be there. CockroachDB gets the sponsor this year, so that's going to be fun. But they're still selling tickets. It's still going to be a great time. Salt Lake City is a great place to have a conference. All right, now comes time for what we like to call quick pitches. So this is where we give people in the community time to shout out if they are looking for a job, if they're hiring, if they're working on a project, anything else you want to say very quickly. Now's the time to do it. And we have Steven with the microphone passing it around if anybody wants to say anything. Yeah. All right. We got to quit. We got to.
So yeah, kind of looking for a job right now, but I'm working with these guys as a group to build some Remix dev tools. We're going to probably launch a Chrome extension next week. Which if you guys want to get in touch and see it, I think these guys might be back next month for the next Remix Meetup, and they can show it off. So I can demo it a little bit. It's called Remix DJ, but it shows, currently it's going to show your routes on a Remix project, but we're going to add features so you can kind of see actions, loaders, check to see if your routes are handled by any error boundaries. And stuff like that. So all the cool stuff Remix does. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Woo. Anybody else? Cool. We'll move on. And we'll move on to tonight's speaker. So tonight's speaker is Eli, and he will be speaking on remixing AV tests. So come on up, Eli. So I can give you this.
Okay.
And then you're. Turn off that.
Yeah, I got it. All right, I have a little bit of a setup that I need to do here. So just give me 1 second. I'm doing a demo and the slide. All right, cool. We got speaker notes up there. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. This goes over here. Hey, look at that. It's right here. I want to zoom in on that. Come on, good. Yes, awesome. Whew. All right. We are in business, I think. If I can find my cursor. And then we go back here. All right. Hey, y'all. I'm Eli. I'm a staff engineer at Cord. We do headless e-commerce. And I think the people that sign my paycheck are in the audience right now. So if you want to talk to them after the meetup and learn more, please do. I use Vim, but I'm over it. And I only bring it up because I'm going to be demoing in it. And I thought I was going to have a mic, but whatever. I love Remix because it reminds me of my favorite language, PHP. Specifically PHP 4, where there was no object orientation because that was tacked on in version 5. And you could just go ahead and have your database calls right above your HTML. It's great. And Remix does that the right way, so I'm all for it. But I'm a relatively newcomer to A/B tests. My first one was 5 years ago. But a lot of my life, up till then and still now, is just throwing myself into something 100% and going with it. And I showed a picture here. This is a Morse code tattoo. This is a Morse code tattoo that I have. It says "Live, Laugh, Love," and this is a joke that my partner and I've had for about 4 years. And we were joking about "Live, Laugh, Love" as wine ant culture and if it's good or bad. She does not like it. I love it, and I had to go ahead and negotiate with her for 3 years to go ahead and get a tattoo. I was like, well, what if I got on my love handles? She's like, no, not on your belly. And I was like, all right, well, what about my arm? And she's like, no words. And I was like, what about Morse code on my wrist? She's like, has to be in the sleeve. So I got her to agree to have it just underneath the sleeves. That way people can see it in certain shirts, but I'll know it's there, which is good. And that's patience. That's a lot of going back to the drawing board and kind of iterating to go ahead and figure it out. And that's what A/B testing is. It's about persistence. When I was here last month, I noticed a couple people here that were very junior, and I used to be very junior, and even well into my career, I did not know about A/B testing. I just thought that you went ahead and tossed everything at everyone at once, and that's a terrible idea. I think if you ask anyone in here, they've gone ahead and done that 100% release just to start. And you're quickly just swamped with bugs, and people going ahead and being upset. And sometimes you'll go ahead and tank revenue so bad that you'll get a call from the CEO. You don't want that. And for me personally, I've gone ahead and done this and tied up my team all weekend, because I went ahead and just went 100% on something, or lost confidence. People lost confidence in me because I went ahead and did it too fast. Really what you want is your release, your job to be just a series of soft launches, like a restaurant. And I think that's where we're gonna go here. So to begin with, we gotta talk about feature flags. So feature flags are basically just if statements that look at the current user and figure out if they should be able to be exposed to something. So even if you don't do A/B testing, you certainly have admin only functionality or functionality that is for users that are logged in or not logged in. And this is really no different. But what feature flags allow you to do is decouple the process of deploying code, which is land a commit in main. It takes about five minutes to an hour, depending on where you work, to go ahead and get to production. And if it's bad, you have to go ahead and spend that 5 minutes to an hour rolling back. With feature flags, you're able to go ahead and just press a button in a web interface, and then it's gone. And that is magical. And so what that also allows you to do is have a definition of done that is, once the code is in main and in production, it's done. And it doesn't matter if a user can access it or not. It's done. And so this is a quote from one of my old bosses, and I didn't get it for a long time, and then clicked one day, and I was like, you're 100% right. This is so much better. So we get to A/B tests. A/B tests are just you taking a feature flag and stating a hypothesis that by being exposed to a variant in this feature flag, the user will buy more. They'll stay in the state longer. They'll be happier. They'll be fulfilled. I don't know what the last part, but really, it's just a scientific method. You're looking at the site all day. You come up with a question. You and your PM work together, come up with a question, and then state a hypothesis. By making this specific change, we'll go ahead and make more money. By going ahead and reorganizing this, we'll see it. And it's really important in A/B testing to go ahead and state this beforehand, because we're scientists in a way. Because if you don't do it, You're gonna come up with some sort of post hoc justification. That's not really anyone useful here. After your hypothesis, you go ahead and build it and wrap it in an experiment. Your users are going to be assigned randomly. It doesn't have to be a 50-50 split. You can go ahead and roll out that feature at 1% and then crank it up as you go. You only need to run that test 2 to 4 weeks. You'd be shocked. Like in double-blind scientific studies, 4 people isn't enough. 40 people is shockingly accurate, and 4,000 people is almost too much. And we're not we're at the bottom level of STEM, right? Let's be honest here. And we're not making medicine. We can go ahead and just kind of feel it out, The most important thing is the user gets exposed to a variant. It's the only thing that they'll see. They're opted into that forever. Now, I'll get to that a little bit more in a bit, but I love this. This is superstition. A watch test never converts. It's like a pot never boils when it's watched. It's superstition, but it's also called peaking. And so by going ahead and looking at a test, if you go ahead and act on it and change your experiment while it's in flight, your results are useless. You haven't actually proven that this works. So it makes sense to go ahead and look at it, but don't stare at it, At the end of it, you have your conclusion and reporting. And really, you just want to go ahead and look at your hypothesis. Okay, I thought this is going to make us more money. Did it make us more money? How much more money? And if it did, it's a success. You're going to go ahead and shout it from the rooftops. You should really go ahead and tell everyone you know that this was a winner. And then it's a loser. Tell everyone you know, because they can learn from that too. But the most important thing is, if it's a winner and it's revenue, go ahead and put it in your resume. You'll get hired for it. It's amazing. This is where I talk about data science, but I'm not a data scientist. I really don't know what I'm doing here. And so I'm just going to give you some phrases to memorize if you're like me and not data inclined. That's a good idea, but what does the data say? If you get presented with a bad idea, just say this, and they'll be like, oh, good point. We need to test the hypothesis. All right, well, so now you'll probably have to build the thing, but you're couching it, and you can go ahead and that smug sense of I was right at the end. And then if you're talking to a particularly bratty, broy data scientist, you can be like, what's the confidence interval on that, brah? And they'll appreciate that. They'll brawl out with you. But with all things, there's just gotchas with this. The marketing team is going to go ahead and just keep coming to you with ideas. And so you're going to run into a couple things. First off, flag hygiene. With A/B, if your development cycle is going from, at the earliest stage, you're going ahead and wrapping it in a feature flag and then converting it to an A/B test down the road, your app is just going to get lousy with feature flags. And unless you go ahead and have a concerted effort to go ahead and clean them up afterwards, you're going to have these load-bearing, crappy if statements that you can't get around. And so one of the things I've heard some teams do is they'll write an integration test that fails at the end date of the test. So they have to go ahead and either remove the feature flag or change the date on the test. So there has to be some sort of conscious handling there. Another one is client-side testing. So generally, you want to go ahead and server render your tests. So that way, there isn't an exposure to the control case. So in this one here, they're going ahead and they have the base header here, and then it flashes that, and then she goes to the one that's assigned. And with client-side testing, it's really kind of unavoidable because that first paint is going to go ahead and have the HTML that's there. And the only way really around it is to go ahead and use an anti-flicker snippet, which can go ahead and add a second to your page load, which, well, no one wants that. And so the only time you really want to use them is if it's below the fold, or it's you're going in and routing to a different action based upon someone clicking. But hey, look, we're using Remix. It doesn't matter here. We know that server runners. We're good. Another one is the marketing team got drunk with power. We launched this big old CMS conversion job at my last site, my last job, and the marketing team got it, and they were like, "Well, we just want to go ahead and edit the site and optimizely," and they did. Oh yeah, they did. And you have the flickers that you saw on the last slide constantly. And the only real way around that is just education, because they're using the tools that were given to them, and so you have to kind of integrate the A/B testing into the CMS and have it all be one pipeline, and they have to be okay with understanding the limitations of optimizely. Question you'd be thinking is hey, can I A/B test price? Like this is a supply demand curve. So for gasoline, if you charge way too much, people are going to buy less gasoline. If you charge too little, there's going to be too much gasoline, but you're not making money. And so you want to find the equilibrium. And if you're A/B testing it, it makes sense to go ahead and A/B test the price, right? You really shouldn't. It's like it's a form of price discrimination, which is it sounds illegal, but it's totally legal. Like price discrimination could be like a senior discount or like a ladies' night, and it's legal and cool unless you're like selling livestock to go ahead and show different prices. But you shouldn't do it because it's difficult. Your reporting's going to be bad. If customers find out that you're charging them different prices, they're going to tell everyone that they know that you're the worst and that you should never buy from them. The other thing is like significance. So a product page is only going to get like maybe 100 visitors a day. That isn't enough to go ahead and kind of figure out what's going on there. The one edge case to pricing, A/B as an aside, is like B2B. That you've all seen like enterprise pricing where they charge you like $1 million to like just have SSO. That's okay. Go ahead and do that because like it's all right. A better idea though is just test discounts. And so, an example of this is like you've seen these modals where they ask for the email and they give you a coupon. This is great because it gives your marketing team an email address to go ahead and bother them with, but also you can go ahead and run this on all the pages that you want, and like it works great. So everyone's wins here. Another one is just lying about the original price. So you keep the price the same, but you raise it up a little bit and lie. Very easy to track, and you can go ahead and kind of see what happens. Very consistency. So like, you're running an A/B test, and like it involves email, right? And that's a whole different system. That's like an Iterable or a Klaviyo or whatever. And you want to make sure that like, for example, we had a persona at my last job that we would A/B test like different personas, and we learned two things. One, if the name that on the email is different, people will notice and get mad. The other one is it was resume critiquing, and we would sometimes just like just for laughs go ahead and be like, what happens if a male critiques this resume? A bunch of white dudes will call in, very angry that someone just swore into their resume, and they want to fight them. It's hilarious. And so to go ahead and keep this consistent, we would go ahead and pre-authenticate the link. So a magic link in all of the emails that whenever they click it, they're automatically logged in. It's great UX, and you're able to go ahead and have that experiment consistency. The last one is like there's just things that are easy to forget. So like if you're going ahead and reporting like your experiment assignment, Google Analytics, you're going to have dropped calls. That's just the reality of the situation. The ad blockers, some networks are terrible. What happens? HTTP caching. If you're going ahead and caching your routes for speed, you got to be really careful because you don't want to cache like the control or the variant, and then everyone's going ahead and getting things that they don't need. And also, like whenever you want to end a feature, like if your browser caching it, it's going to go ahead and stick around because browser's doing what it was told to do. And the last one is just like unrelated, untested changes and overlapping tests. So like at a large company, everything's being rolled out in A/B test, and like there are other people that like may just go ahead and like clash into the thing that you're working on, and so that's called a multivariate test. You gotta be careful with them. Like it's totally okay to do, but like it can really throw off your things if you're like, oh, I'm testing like this copy, and then someone's like, oh, but I want to test this other copy right underneath it. It's like, oh, are we really learning anything here? No. So this is where I get prescriptive. I'm a big fan of GrowthBook. It's really, really good A/B testing software. So like A/B testing software, just as an aside, is extremely expensive. Like I think Optimizely won't get out of bed for like less than like $36,000 a year, and that's too much money. GrowthBook is awesome because it's open source, self-hostable. Its hosted option is per seat, and the reason why they're able to go ahead and charge so little is because you bring your own data warehouse with you, and so their SDK is very pleasant to use. So also this guide is amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just demo it, and this is where we're gonna go ahead and learn some things about how effective I can be with the cursor at. There it is. All right, got that, and then there's the other window. Need this window. Okay, so I've been working on a remix app, And I'm gonna have to demo this. I forgot about this. All right. Sort of mirroring is nice, but so I built this app. It's called Album Mode Party. It basically just recommends a random album. And I love emo music, and I kind of like ran to the limits of like Spotify recommending me good music, and so I just want like a Tinder like experience. And so I built this like little thing that goes ahead and recommends a new album. And so a conversion event here would be me hitting great or me hitting play. The play will just open that up, which is pretty cool. And it's cool. All right. And so got that going on. And I want to go ahead and like A/B test some of the new features in there. So we go over to Growthbook, and I have some features kind of set up already. And I have this one's homepage button size. So flip it on real quick. And go back here. And hopefully everything works right here. Everyone refresh the page. The buttons are small. So a couple things I want to call out. First off, no flicker. It's the right size to begin with. And if I want to turn it off, because I think it's terrible, then just hit this right here. And no, caching. It'll go away, just trust me. And so what's cool about Growthbook is that it's really, really efficient in terms of how it does these things. So over here, I wrap the library, and I think that it sticks in a request. It loads the features, and it goes ahead and sets attributes on the user. And so we'll get to show you the attributes real quick. Bam. So whenever I have a user, I'll track their ID if they're logged in, but often I'll just use the ID from Google Analytics. And then I'm also going to go ahead and toss a couple other things in here. So like, if I want to go ahead and run a test or just feature flag for like someone in the US, I can go ahead and do this here and exclude everyone else. Or if I want Google to like not do something, I can do that here because I'm setting it as a bot. I'm just doing that by, oh man, I should have mirrored this. That would have been easier, but I take the hard path here. So I'm setting some attributes here. And what's cool about this is that it loads the features. And the features are just like this, I'm really dumb. I should have just done this as mirroring. I might switch it back here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with it. The features are just like these like this JSON file here, where it has a weights assigned with it. And I'm passing it down from the server in the loader to the clients. That way the client side also has it. But what you'll note here is the features are here, but it's doing all of the assignment client side. So it's taking the ID that I'm giving it, and it's hashing it, and to go ahead and do the assignment, which is pretty cool because like usually you have to go ahead and reach out to a server, and it gives you back a response for the assignment, and like this is so much nicer. Cool. So we have the feature flag, and then the other thing that's nice about it is, like I said, I'm bringing my own data, my own data here, and the way I'm doing that is just using Google Analytics. No, that's not it. Let's see here. Data sources, And Google Analytics will pipe to BigQuery, and BigQuery is able to then, off of my metrics, I'm able to go ahead and just write some SQL against it. Man, this is fun. And I'm able to just write some SQL. And so, you're at work, you have your own data warehouse, and you don't have to go ahead and like push things as you go. You can go ahead and actually retroactively look at this and kind of figure things out and just write your own SQL, which I love writing SQL. Cool. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop my cursor back over here. All right. So the last thing I want to go ahead and show is the A/B testing stuff. And so one of the questions I've had in the app is, let's go ahead and bring this up. If I hit inspect. If I go over to networking, oh man, this is gonna be hard. And then I hit nope. I set up server timing. People don't know about this. This is like the coolest thing I've ever discovered, and I really hope that you walk away from here. You can go ahead by setting a header, get this little nifty graph in the timing thing where you can go ahead and see how long things are taking. And over here, like that's, you can see the growth book is like only taking 80 seconds, and you can cache that. But I'm going ahead and grabbing the Wikipedia entry for this. And often, like on most networks, I notice that the Wikipedia takes actually longer than the Spotify. And that kind of sucks because it's like, is this actually giving me anything useful? Maybe not, I don't know. Because it's like sometimes it's just completely wrong. And so if I go back to my test here, I'm able to, I have my cursor, yeah, we're good. No, that's not it, I want to go here. I'm able to go ahead and just, initialize it the same way that I did before, and the little server timing thing is there. And then I'm able to do the show wiki where it's like I'm grabbing an A/B test here. And then I'm just either returning it or not. But then I'm also going ahead and checking it here because with a provided hook, because by doing that, it allows it to do the tracking callback and send to Google Analytics that I was assigned this consistently. And so if I were to go ahead and go back here to what I was looking at, every day you should learn something. And I should have learned today that I should mirror, but it's okay. I'll hit cancel. For watching me do this one. All features. And I just go ahead and put this on here. We'll pop in here. Right now I have it enabled for me, just for me. But then I also set up an A/B test where the Google Client ID is using the hash. We've got a 50-50 split here. And I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the Pitchfork Best Music. I scraped a bunch of sites to go ahead and get recommendations. And so now, like, it's showing up sometimes. I go ahead and open the Incognito tab. It will not show up, which is awesome. Cool. All right. That did not go the way that I wanted to, but that's okay. I'm going to be okay with it. You get the gist. I think that's all I got. Can I answer any questions? Yes. Oh, we need the.
So you were talking about the data sources, and you're using Google Analytics as a data source, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. What are the other data sources that I can use? Say, like, I don't want to give Google Analytics any actual info.
Snowflake, Segment, really any sort of like Postgres database you want to bring. So if you want to hook up to a read replica, you totally could.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to use a data warehouse like whatsoever if I have like a couple Postgres databases, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
You mentioned on one slide that we had to be very careful about caching, but did not give any details about strategies for navigating that. Can you speak a little bit about how you avoid caching variance and sort of how you deal with that?
Sure. So what I would say is for A/B testing, if you know that you're going to be A/B testing and you're doing server rendering, just don't cache. It's really that simple. I don't like saying it's simple, but like that's just kind of the answer here, which is it's not fun, but like you just have to be cognizant of it.
I think there is a cache header that they usually recommend to pass with A/B testing for a short time. I think cache control is generally the one.
Cache control, and then you could like just have a short cache or
exactly
and have it be private too. But like even still, like the one thing I would say about that is that like you have to be okay with the feature flag being stale if you want to go ahead and flip it off immediately. Which depending on like, so at my last job, our busy time was like literally from 8:05 to 11 every day, and if we had a feature that was bad for like even like 5 minutes, it was pretty bad. It was like we would be off by like 50K, which is not good.
Especially, I think the hard part is making sure the same user gets the same exact test, right? Yeah. And so I've seen A/B testing where you the first thing they do is they go to the query parameter, get some test or some parameter out, and save it in a cookie. So next time they refresh, at least loads back the same test. My question was around actually Google Analytics. Mm-hmm. How are you using that source specifically? And then in the front end, sorry, I'm not too used to the growth book, but in the front end, how do you gauge what your user is doing with your A/B test, right? Because usually it's not just as simple as showing something. It's the engagement that the user does with it.
Yeah. So
And then how do you use Google Analytics to source that back into Growthbook?
that's good. So yeah, so I define the conversion events up front where it's like positive review, negative review, album opened, and that's just being sent through like Google Analytics with like a window data layer push, and that's going to to what's it called? BigQuery? Yeah, it's called BigQuery, and just GA has like a setting that allows you to pipe it. I don't know if that answered your question though. No.
How do you? So you have. Thank you. You have your A/B testing framework or whatever you have on the front end. In this case, what I'm wondering is it just Google Analytics?
Yeah,
it is. It's all Google Analytics that's doing all the driving for you. Okay.
Yes, in terms of reporting, yes. The framework, they do provide the framework where it's like it has a tracking callback, and the send event is just a data layer push.
Understood.
Yeah. Oh.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
So your front end is actually sending the events to Google Analytics. That's what you're saying. And then Google Analytics is syncing back with Growthbook. Okay. That makes sense. Yes. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, that answers that.
Going back to the A/B testing itself, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
One issue. I know personally I support a couple of people from 80 to 98 years old.
Yeah.
And it would be helpful if it looked the same on my screen than it does on theirs. When I talk to them and walk them through various things. And that's could be a problem. And I don't know how big a problem that is. The second question. Well, first of all, thank you for getting me thinking about this. And I think my little startup is going to have to think about this seriously, but in a year from now.
Yeah.
So thank you. But what you're showing is sites that are free.
Yes.
And one question is if you have a paid site and user A gets something different and he's paying the same money that user B is paying, is that going to be an issue for people?
No, it's well, the pricing thing is a whole separate thing. I probably should write that up. But I would say that to your first point, being able to see what the other person is seeing, in the past, what I've done is I've built like a little panel as like a developer flag that allows me to go ahead and flip on different feature flags manually. So that way, like I can look at the user and kind of like see their tags and be like, all right, they have this specific bug that needs to be walked through. All right, I'm going to flip that on. In terms of user A and user B paying the same amount of money, the question is not whether or not they're paying the same amount of money. It's a question of if they're paying money at all. Because user C is going to go ahead and bounce if they like see X, Y, or Z, right? And you want to go ahead and kind of isolate, your changes so that way you can say, all right, by having this copy in the header, this I know based upon this test that I ran for 4 weeks that it goes ahead and makes me 10% more revenue or 1% more revenue. 1% more revenue is crazy.
Well, my particular product, I'm not looking at making more revenue with the A/B testing. I'm hoping to see whether our product is more effective.
Gotcha. Okay. So for me, like I'm going ahead and this is a free site where I'm like going ahead and tracking reviews, but like you could go ahead and look at like site engagement. You could also look at like if it's outside of like the context of the web application, it's like something like in healthcare, for example. Like I don't want to be like basically any metric that you would have in your database, it could be like, all right, this is a positive indicator that I want to go ahead and see more of, either like on accounts or a binomial or whatever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did we have any more questions? Oh, got one.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have any sort of rules of thumb based on experience on how many feature flags are needed to sort of use, and how much complexity that adds to the resultant application, and how does that impact internal testing?
Okay, so what I would say is you should probably be wrapping all of your features as they're being rolled out in a feature flag and then converting them into an A/B test. If you go ahead and do that, you're gonna have, and just only keep about thinking about things rolling forward, you're gonna have so many feature flags, and you're gonna have to every year you're gonna hear from every developer, there's just too many feature flags, we need to clean them up. So I kind of said in the slides, if you were to have an integration test that would fail at the end date of an A/B test or a feature flag, you then have to go ahead and look at the test and change the date to either keep passing or you need to remove the feature flag. Because if you don't, you're going to have a bunch of load-bearing if statements that shouldn't be there. In terms of the result and complexity, in terms of supporting things, you should also be diligent about maybe only one test per team at a time. I know I have a friend that works at Bloomberg, and they have a pretty strict rule around that, and they're only able to go ahead and increase the rollout 1% per day. So they're moving extremely slow, but they're being very cautious because Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg was able to ban soda, so I don't know. Did I answer the question or no? Okay.
So if I'm using this in Remix, and I want to A/B test, two entirely different web pages, is the best way to go about that in the loader to redirect to a different page, depending on the A/B test that I'm in, or is it better for me to just using loader data to just render a different type of page in the actual component?
That's a great question. Actually, I cut that slide about this exact thing. So, what you're asking about is kind of a redirect test, and so it's all kind of personal style at a certain point. So a redirect test is user hits route A, and either you redirect them in the browser to a different page and kind of keep that static, or you just rewrite them, which is kind of similar to what you're saying. Well, actually, it's not, because I'm describing just if statements around the code to go ahead and control features, but redirecting to different pages is certainly a way of doing things, and it's honestly probably pretty good for a lot of things. But I like to have that multivariate testing at all times, just having that capability. So that's why I don't do redirect tests.
Gotcha. Awesome. Any other questions? Once, twice, 3 times, sold.
Oh. Down to.
I don't have a question. I'm on the security side of things. One of the cons of A/B testing, I would say, from a security perspective. Actually, security engineers love A/B testing. There's tools out there that will literally tell them, a Chrome extension, they'll tell them if there's A/B testing going on, and then they could choose which side they want. I used to have a friend. Security engineers also love talking about hacks that they do. So I used to have a friend that told me about. He used to work for a mobile gaming company, and they had this one other competitor that they're very close to what they did. That same exact game. The issue with one of the issues with A/B testing is that you are sending the metrics back up to the server somehow, right, or to Google Analytics, or to wherever, the engagement, whatever you're doing with it. So I remember him telling me about how this other competitor was doing A/B testing, and they knew clearly that one of the features was not going to work out correctly.
Yeah.
They're both startup companies, of course. Yeah, I'm glad you turned off recording. And what they ended up doing is basically simulating fake results to make the other company think that this other terrible pattern that users didn't like was the right pattern to go towards. So there is definitely cons on the side of A/B testing, because it basically gives the wrong feature sets to. It potentially could give you the wrong feature sets to the backend as well.
Yeah. So at a job before this, we did all of our A/B testing in PHP server side, and so there was no client side reporting. And honestly, with Remix, it's probably that you could totally do that here. Probably. Yes, probably. Almost definitely you could. The reason why I did this way is that there's marketing teams generally live in GTM, and like they want to have that experiment viewed event to go ahead and have it pushed to other places, and you know, that's kind of top of mind sometimes. But like totally, yeah, you should be moving in silence. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? Once, twice, 3 times. Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
y'all.
All right. Thank you, Eli. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Just going right into the next one. So that is the end of kind of the program part. Yeah, we have lots of time. Feel free to hang out, grab some more food, mingle. It's officially over at 8 o'clock. But I won't tell you to get out till 8:30 whenever the cleaning people come in. So thank you, and hopefully we'll see everybody next week or next month. Yeah.